Hey everybody, welcome to Round the Twist, episode 251. It's June 8th, 2016. And yeah, how's everyone doing? Let's just say it's been a trying morning around here. The twins went down for naps early. Very early. In the case of Gabe, he really wanted to lay down about 11 and I forced him to stay up and eat lunch. I'm guessing we're on growth spurts right now, honestly, just the way he's been eating and then the whininess and acting. And now Tara's starting in too, so it's been a trying morning for me. Come on, Daisy. Come on. You want to come say hi? Come on, Munchkin. Hi. Well, not to me. Can you say hi to them? Look that way. There we go. She really doesn't want to. She hates me. This dog, honestly, I really think if we didn't kennel her at night, she would kill me in my sleep just to get closer to my hubby. Because she thinks she's alpha, but she's really not. She's looking at you and saying, lies, it's all lies. Okay, go Daisy. I know you hate that when I pick you up. Okay, so there has been knitting and crafting this week. I know I explained how the week was going to be kind of crazy, and it was, not quite to the degree that I thought it would be. So I did end up working night shift, but only one shift. I got canceled the second one. They didn't need me because our census dropped too low. So after working the first shift, sleeping all day, I woke up to a text from them saying, hey, we don't need you, stay home. Okay. So I stayed up like 5 hours or so, 5-6 hours, and went back to bed and flipped the sleep schedule back to day shift. So here I am, back on day shift. I might pick up some half shifts for night shift where they're super short again, but man, I can't do nights anymore. I don't know how I did it. No, I do know how I did it for 11 years. I wasn't flip-flopping back and forth. That's how I did it. And I didn't have kids for the first, 10 years of my nursing career. So there we have it. That's how I survived night shift for 10 years. First thing on the needles, and this has gotten a lot done on it. Thank you, Witcher 3 DLC. The manly socks for my hubby. So I've had the first one done for a while. Except for the heel, obviously. There's my heel, my waist yarn for my heel. Second one I had just started. I had like 4 rows of ribbing last week. Yeah, this is this week. This is the result of, like I said, the Witcher 3 expansion, the DLC, the Blood and Wine expansion, that hubby has been playing even on the nights that he works multiple nights in a row. It's like we eat dinner and we head down to the basement after the kids are in bed. And he kills monsters. And I sit there and knit and help him look up things that he needs help with, my usual role. So I knit from here all the way down. The other thing that helped with this was trying to flip my sleep schedule. So I was supposed to work Saturday and Sunday. So Friday night, I tried to stay up as late as I could, which was till, I was aiming for 2 a.m. and I made it till 4. So that was kind of surprising. But I was knitting this because it was mindless and watching a new to me series on Netflix called Turn. If you haven't heard of it before, it was originally on AMC. I don't know if it's still on or not. It's got 2 seasons on Netflix and I'm partway through the first season. And it takes place during the Revolutionary War and talks about a double agent spy. Double agent? Is he a double agent? I don't know. A cabbage farmer who's a spy. During the American Revolution, and it's really interesting. Definitely a drama. There is some action, but I like it so far. It took a little bit for me to get into it. Like anything, you have to go further than just the pilot episode because stuff can change. But I really liked that. Haven't had a chance to get back into it since that night, but I watched like 5 or 6 episodes that night. So yeah, I'm working on the second black stripe on the foot, which I've got the black stripe, the blue stripe, and then I think it's when I'm into the green stripe that I start decreasing. Yes. So I'm 2 stripes away from the toe of the second sock already. I'm knitting this up in Osterman Steppe, which is still available. The colorway is, I believe, 24. Yeah. Which is a black, dark teal, and blue with a gray stripe added in as well. It's a good German workhorse yarn. Right there, along with Regia and Opal. I'm liking this. Hopefully hubby likes them as well. He's amazed how much I've done, but I'm going, you're playing a lot of your video games, dear. Of course I'm getting a lot done. So, yay, knitting up on US 1s, 2.25 millimeter needle, and I'm hoping, although I have to work the next 2 days, so I'm hoping this weekend at some point I will be able to finish that first sock and start putting the heels into both of them. That's the plan anyway, but as we know, plans often go awry around here. So the second thing, I didn't touch Sarah's birthday socks. I really need to do that, but what I did do, I pulled out the Beck sweater, which, hang on, let me pull up what that looks like for you. Oh, and I had to put a passcode on my iPad because the twins completely screwed it up the other day. Moved apps around, deleted stuff. It took me probably an hour to find where everything was and put it all back where it was supposed to be. So now it's passcode locked because they know how to turn this on, open it up, and why did I just open the Disney Junior app? Oh my gosh. Because I'm talking about the twins, and that's the app they like to open is Disney Junior, so they can play the Goldie and Bear game, and yeah. So, the Beck sweater, which is by Danny Sunshine. Flip this way, and I really hope you guys will be able to see this because of the glare from the window. Let's turn it this way. Looks like that. Here, I'll angle it down. So it's a top-down yoked sweater that has these garter bits around the yoke with little cables through them. And there are 3. I just finished the second one. I think I did a whole 6 rows on this, but I think I'm up to like 250 stitches in a round or something like that. So this is on a US 6, which is a 4.0 millimeter needle. 4? Yeah. 4.0 millimeter needle. I'm knitting it up in Rowan Felted Tweed DK. And like you can see, there's the neckline. There's one garter cable thing. Here's the second one right down by my needles. I still have all my little stitch markers in. And I'm just starting the next little stockinette section, and I did an increase row, so that just bumped me up hugely on the number of stitches, which means that it's a little easier for me to do rounds because they're not so stretched in between. They're not so stretched out and harder for me to scoot around the needle as I'm going. So the Rowan Felted Tweed DK, I'm using color 173, I think it is. I call it duck egg blue. That's what it looks like to me. It looks like a duck egg. It's this lovely pale blue color with some tweedy brown, black, tan, paler blue flecks through the whole thing. Phoebe, no. Phoebe has suddenly become interested in the twins' little potty chairs. So I'm sorry if I'm scolding her. She just came around the corner and went straight for one, even though they're empty. I don't know why you're going after that all of a sudden. Nasty dog. You're gross. Yes. So I did make a little progress on this. If I just pull it out, and it has to be pulled out when the twins aren't around because I have to have the iPad out. If the iPad's out, they want to play Goldie and Bear. Or one of the Disney Junior games. It's a typical mother of toddlers thing. You simultaneously love and hate the app. Love it because it keeps them occupied. Hate it because they always want Goldie and Bear. Goldie and Bear? Always, all the time. And it's like, no Goldie and Bear. Aww. And then they run off and pout, or at worst throw a screaming fit onto the floor. So the other thing that I did, one day I pulled out the Future Christmas Planning, my snowflakes. I'm on to snowflake number 12, my final one for the year, in theory, of my original plan. So this is 99 Snowflakes. It's a book put out by Leisure Arts. And I'm slowly crocheting my way through, doing 3 sets of each snowflake. This one down here, number 12. It's another one by the lovely Helen Malinkovich Milton. And it's a little smaller than the last ones. The last snowflake number 11 was a 2-inch, in theory, finished diameter snowflake. This one is supposed to be 1 3/4. All the other ones have been 2-inch, so slightly, stop spinning that way. Slightly smaller. I'm crocheting these up using a 1.65 millimeter steel hook right here that I've filched from my mom's collection. This actually might be one of my grandmother's hooks. I don't know. It's an old Susan Bates, number 7. It's got the lovely little plastic tip on it. I don't think they even make those anymore. And I'm using the Knit Crocheting by JP & Coates in Ecru. This is still my first ball. I still have a ton of it. Like, can you guys see how deep that goes in the middle? I mean, I've used quite a bit, but there's still a lot left to go, and I'm on the 12th one already. I might be okay with only 2 balls of this. So I only have one, and it's just because I just didn't pull it out any other day. I pulled it out one day, I got one done, took me 15, 20 minutes maybe. This is one of the easier ones. I don't know why I have an issue. Every time the pattern calls for a half double crochet, I have to look it up and see what it is, and that's one reason I love this book, is for the bits right at the beginning. Oh geez, right there, half double crochet and how to do it. Walks you through. Love it. Love it, love it. So those are coming along. I'm working on it, I should say. Yeah, that's it. That's all that's on my needles, on my hooks. So we're going to move on to pokey things. Grab your coffee. I have Hawaiian pineapple today because mainly, I think I had that last week too, but I ground more just because it was the longest, or the bag that was fullest in the cupboard. So for pokey things, this is my Once Upon a Time sampler by Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. I've got it still into the Q-snap frame. Last week I had finished, over here you can kind of see Rapunzel peeking out of her tower. And I moved on to October, which is Cinderella. So the only thing was I hadn't done the border all the way down and around. You can see where I stopped down here even, and I haven't finished it in the other corner for December either. So I had to finish the border, which I got done. I did it on that night I was staying up, trying to stay up as late as I could and watching Turn, and I kind of, on this little like half flower thing here, that outside row of stitches, I had completely forgotten, and I didn't notice it until yesterday while I was stitching during nap time. And I went, why does that flower look funny? And sure enough, I looked at the pattern on my iPad and went, I forgot 6 stitches, so I had to pull out the navy blue and stitch in that little extra bit, and I was like, man, how'd I miss that? Oh well, I caught it before it was framed and under glass. That's the part that matters, right? Right? That you catch your mistakes before you send it off to the framers. So I started, got all the grass done at the bottom, and then since it's the same color, there's these lovely scrolly vine leaf things that go around the pumpkin coach. There's going to be a pumpkin coach in here with Cinderella in it and Fairy Godmother up in the corner. Little magic sparkles all around. So I just kept going. Hopefully I counted and placed that correctly. God, I hope I counted and placed it correctly. I did double check as I kept going just to make sure I was in the right spot. So I got most of the viney thing around the top of the coach, sides and top of the coach done. This has to come down, and there's some more curly cues over here. But I ran out of thread and I ran out of nap time. So that's where I'm at with Once Upon a Time. It's moving along. I can't believe that only like a month and a half ago I was 2 whole squares back, and I thought I was never going to get done when I started it. It seems so intimidating now, just taking a block at a time. A block at a time. It's working. I'm getting it done. She might actually have it before she starts elementary school. Yay! And here's hoping she doesn't start hating princesses. Please don't start hating princesses anytime soon, baby girl. So, various and sundry upcoming events. The Estes Park Wool Market starts tomorrow, actually, if you're coming for classes. Classes are Thursday and Friday at the Estes Park High School. And then the actual wool market itself is at the fairgrounds. I think it's called the Estes Park Events Complex. No, it's the fairgrounds. And that's going to be Saturday the 11th and Sunday the 12th. The weather's looking a little sketchy. So if you're coming, make sure to bring a raincoat, possibly an umbrella. They have paved quite a bit of the fairgrounds, so you won't, I'd still wear kind of older shoes that you don't mind getting muddy. Thank goodness the entire parking lot is paved now, so that helps. But be ready for some rain, because that's in the forecast. They finally pushed the temperature up into the low 80s. I think they were saying it was going to be the mid 70s. But I'd say dress in layers and be ready to get a little wet if you're planning on going outside at all. Luckily, the vendor barn, the largest building now that's new, it's inside. It has a it's beautifully finished. It has a concrete floor so that you're not walking around in mud that's been tracked in from outside. The roof doesn't leak like the old one did. So the vendor wares at least will be set, and it's big enough that people won't be crammed in cheek to jowl trying to stay dry. I didn't have any problems getting around last year with a double wide stroller. I'm not advocating bringing a double wide stroller, but that's what we had, and I have just been presented with an offering. There you go, Daisy. Oh. Go, Munchkin. And so yeah, I will be there Saturday with the hubby and twins in tow, hopefully. That's the plan. Anyway, even if it's raining, we're going to be there. And yeah, see everybody at Estes. Come up, say hi, introduce yourself. And big news, big news. The Progression Shawl. This that I designed. This lovely thing that I designed out of my hand spun is done through test knitting. It is done through layout. It is up for sale over on Ravelry. You can find it I'll put a link in this week's, actually I put up a whole separate thread labeled Progression Shawl on the Rav board. I'll also put a link in this week's show thread, or you can go over to my profile. Yeah, my profile on Ravelry, and there should be a thing that says my featured designs or something like that, and it should be there. So it's up for sale. If you'd like to knit it, great. Please don't feel obligated, but those of you who have been waiting, it's ready for you. Ready to go. Thank you to my lovely test knitters, Irish Diva, Baby Boxer Mom, Melia Bella, and Loves Pretty Yarn. You guys were awesome. Thank you for getting through that so quickly and for your input. And thank you to my mom and Casey from Tangerine Designs, Zephead. They did the layout for the pattern. And yeah. So I think that's it. We're going to do one bout of any questions really quick so you guys aren't... Oh, Daisy, did it go under the TV console? Well, you're just going to have to wait. Or find a different ball, Munchkin. We have a console under our TV, and the ball rolled underneath, and it's far enough under she can't get to it, so oh, the poor thing. It's awful. She'll be fine in the 5 minutes it's going to take me. Okay. So, I think we'll do 2 questions this week. First one is from, if you have any questions for me, head over to the Ravelry board. The thread is stickied at the top. It's titled Any Questions. Feel free to ask me anything knitting, non-knitting related, within reason, and I will get to it in a future episode. If you like this section, keep asking me stuff, okay? So, Have Knitting had a question of, who is your favorite indie dyer, and have you tried any Aussie dyed hand Aussie hand-dyed yarns. My favorite indie dyer, honestly, if I took you guys downstairs, you know what the answer is going to be. Granted, they have grown quite a bit over the years. I love Blue Moon Fiber Arts. I love their colors. I love the yarn that they have because it's so round and bouncy. Other indie dyers that are smaller, I like Into the World. I like Miss Babs. They're kind of bigger though. Who else? Fiber Nymph does very nice yarns, both self-striping and others. I'm trying to think. I'm sorry guys, I'm drawing blanks here. And then any Aussie hand-dyed yarns. You know, honestly, I went through my cupboard and I know at some point I bought some yarn from an Australian dyer and I can't find it. So one of two things has happened. Either I've knit with it, in which case I would remember, or I've gifted it away during one of the various moves. It's one of those. I've culled my yarn stash 3 times in the last 3 years. Once when hubby moved in, once again, maybe it's just twice. I think it was just twice, never mind. Yeah, because the craft room wasn't affected by hubby moving in, aside from getting a second desk, which didn't affect the yarn stash. Once when the twins were, when I was pregnant with the twins, I went through and culled the yarn stash because it was just getting out of hand. And then I did again when we were going to move out here to Colorado. So it was probably gifted to one of the lovely ladies in my smaller knit group back in Omaha. Either that, and I can't remember who the dyer was. I want to say Kitchen Sink Dye Works, but I don't think they're Australian. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. So honestly, I've never knit with any of the Australian hand-dyed yarns, but I have bought some. It was to the point it wasn't speaking to me enough for me to hang on to it for the move out here to Colorado. That sounds awful. Oh my gosh, but you guys all have those skeins of yarn that it's like you buy them just because they're pretty and then they go in the stash and then a couple years later you look at them and go, I don't have any plans for that. Why did I get that? And especially when you're paring stuff down, you go through and yeah. I'm describing this really badly. I'm so sorry. So there you go. Hopefully that answers your questions, Have Knitting. So let's do one more. From Calquette. Hi Karen, thanks so much for all you do to get the podcast out for all of us. I do have a couple of questions about sock blanks. Do you find it weird to knit with the yarn when it's all curly? And does it change your gauge or do you tension it differently? I'm very curious about the sock blanks, but I don't know if curly yarn would drive me crazy. Thank you. Okay. So I changed the way I tensioned my yarn years ago when I was doing a lot of knitting with Noro, because a lot of the skeins of Noro that I was coming across had knots. So, let's see what's closest. Oh, let's grab the back. It's closest and it has the biggest yarn. So rather than, when I first started knitting, I would just kind of, sorry, turn around here. I would just kind of hold the yarn so it kind of ran through my last 2 fingers, but it's in a straight line, and that was my tensioning. But I wanted a little more play so I wouldn't have to rip out as far to deal with the knots that the Nora was presenting me. So I started bringing it in a loop around my pinky finger. So my yarn is tensioned around my pinky. That puts, for me, puts a lot more tension between my pinky finger. I still kind of hold it with my last 2 fingers, but puts a lot more tension here. It lets me catch any, it let me at the time catch any knots that were coming up. And it also, with the sock blanks, stretches out that kink. Now, as soon as it's knit, all that tension that I've pulled out, it kind of kinks back in. So, hang on, I've got put something right here that I can show you. Ugh. Because I still have my special snowflake socks over here. So, and these have not been washed and blocked yet, so you can still see how they kind of have a texture to them. That's from the kinkiness of the yarn, so it kind of looks a little ripply, because when you have your yarn, obviously it's all kinked up there. So my tensioning pulls it straight for while I'm knitting, and then once it's back into a stockinette form from me knitting. You got the ball, Munchkin, good job. That was hard work on your part. But you saw your other favorite ball underneath there way at the back. Oh, great. Oh, I know. It's terrible. So once it gets back into the stockinette form, then because the gauge on my socks isn't the same as the gauge in the sock blank, it kind of does kink back in and give you just that little bit of ripple effect, which will come out with the blocking. Seriously, it does. I promise it does. Blocking and wearing and blocking and wearing. It might not come out on the very first wash, but it will come out. So that's kind of how I deal with the kinkiness of the yarn. I did find it a little bit weird. I knit with a sock blank. Oh gosh. I think it was for the first sock summit when I took Deb Barnhill's toe up class. That was with when Conjoined Creations. They were kind of the first ones to do the sock blanks. I was using some of their yarn, and I wasn't even, well, I think it was the combination of trying to do toe up for when I despise toe up. Personal preference, nothing against toe up knitters. It was the combination of the kinky yarn and toe up, and I didn't care for it then. But now, with these new sock blanks, I am loving them. I don't know what it is. Seeing how this stenciled design translates into this sock is so much fun for me, and I don't know why, but it is. I love it. So, I'd say if you want to try it, Sarah Calquette, buy one sock blank. Or if you have someone who has a little bitty end of a sock blank like this that would be willing to let you have it, so you can try it, and just knit a tube. See what you think. See if you like it before you commit fully to a full sock blank for socks. So if you have anyone in your knitting group or that has anything spare left over, I'd say try that first. That said, I know I'm coming up on the end of those easy stockinette manly socks for hubby, so I need to throw another pair of nice easy ones for the rest of this video game play. So I've dug into my Gales art, and you know, we got a holiday coming up here in the States. 4th of July, so I've got this one, fireworks on the 4th. And I think this is going to be socks for me. Because we got all the patriotic holidays coming this summer, I need to get going on something for me. Might take me a while, might not get it done for the 4th of July. In fact, I'm going to guarantee I'm not going to get them done for the 4th of July, but dang it, they might be done for Labor Day. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. So I think that's it. If you're going to be at Estes, please come up and say hi. If you've been waiting for the Progression Shawl pattern, it's available over on Ravelry. And I think that's it. Until next week, everybody, happy knitting.